Boom. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome to another fragrance review, unboxing, and first impressions here on the channel. Had a fragrance company send me a couple of samples and actually a 30 ml bottle. Got it today in the mail. And here we are for an unboxing, first impressions, and review. I have no idea what these 7 fragrances in total are. I don't know which ones got sent, what they're going to smell like, or anything about it. But I can tell you the company name that sent them, which is Scentual Obsessions. We've worked with them in the past, reviewed several of their new fragrances, and talked about them. Always appreciate and love what Kevin and his team do. Super easy to work with and a great company to partner with and do this. And so we got 6 of their new formula fragrances in a sample form, and then 1 as well in a 30 ml. Just recently, these fragrances coming out as a part of their line have got boosted projection, longevity. From my understanding, the notes are deeper, they're richer. Overall, everything is just stronger from the ground up. Everything about these fragrances should be higher quality, but especially projecting out further and lasting longer, which is pretty interesting because I feel like most of their fragrances have pretty solid projection and longevity as is. And so we got a 30 ml here and we got 6 samples. And so without further ado, we're going to jump right in. I'll give my first impressions and kind of talk about these and see what my honest opinion of these 7 fragrances are. Before we jump into it, I'll link their website down in the description below. And if you want to check out any of these fragrances I review, or even ones that I've talked about in the past, you can use code WESTER10 at checkout to get 10% off your purchase, which these fragrances are already affordable. You take another 10% off, it's going to be a really, really good deal. It's going to be hard to beat anywhere else. So their website will be down in the description below, and then you can use that code as well at checkout if you end up purchasing from their website. So without further ado, we'll jump in and talk about this first fragrance. So this first fragrance we have is Convict Elixir, which is an inspired by fragrance of Gucci's Guilty Elixir. Came out in the last year or so, really popular elixir fragrance. I know every designer brand has come out with their own elixir here recently. But Gucci Guilty Elixir, or in this case, Convict Elixir, is actually pretty unique. It's one of really the few elixir fragrances that you could wear in any occasion, all 4 seasons. Oftentimes it gets compared to Amouage Reflection Man. And so we're going to see how this one compares. I don't have a bottle of Gucci Guilty Elixir, but I've smelled it enough to be familiar. And so let's give Convict Elixir a smell. Oh, wow. Okay. This is very interesting because this is that Gucci Elixir DNA. But as I mentioned earlier, that fragrance gets a lot of inspiration from Amouage's Reflection Man, which is one of my personal favorite fragrances, probably top 15 or 20 in the collection. And this fragrance really has a lot of similarities to that one specifically, the Amouage Reflection Man. You get that clean, musky, almost kind of rainfall scent. At least that's how I interpret Amouage Reflection Man to be. But it also does have that Gucci Guilty orange blossom kind of a DNA. You can still pick that up in this fragrance as well. So honestly, this can be a good one to try out. I know Gucci Elixir does last, as the name would suggest, a very long time, and the projection is very good. And so, obviously, this is first impression, so I can't really talk too much about that. But this is very solid, just off my initial impressions here. A really pleasant smell. I could wear this to the gym. I could wear it on a date. I could wear it in the office. It doesn't matter. Really versatile elixir scent, and honestly, a pretty good one to get in a 30 ml. So, excited to be wearing this one. But let's go check out. We still got 6 samples to look at, so let's dive into those. So we got the samples right here. We're going to unbox this pack and see what is inside. And here we go. You have all 6 fragrances right in here on the inside. And the first one I'm pulling out here is Wishful Thinking, which is very interesting because that is an exact match of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Louis Vuitton Imagination, one of the more popular fragrances out right now, and it's one of the longest lasting ones as well for a fresh year-round scent. So I actually am going to compare these two side by side and really just see how close they are. And so let me grab these testers and we'll see really how close it is. Okay, so right here we have Wishful Thinking, and right here we have Imagination. And putting these two side by side, I can definitely see an extreme amount of similarity. I mean, these two are honestly very close to each other. And if I didn't have an actual bottle of imagination on me, then it would probably be really hard to tell them apart. But I do notice that the original imagination compared to wishful thinking, this does have a little bit more of that tea note. At least it's more prominent, it's more deeper and richer. It's just kind of more of a focal point. Whereas everything in wishful thinking, it still has a good dose of that tea note, but you get all the other notes working together to create this imagination DNA. And so honestly, really similar. I'd probably put it in the 93, 94 percentile. Like I said, the only thing I can tell apart is just the prominence of the tea note that's just a little stronger in the original. But honestly, for an exact match, I can't complain. That is a spot-up exact match. And we still got 5 more fragrances to check out, so let's keep the ball rolling. So this next fragrance we have is an original from Scentual Obsessions. It's called Fresh Affair. And this is a bright, modern fragrance originally crafted for comedian actor Jamie Kennedy. So fresh that he went through his bottle in just a month. Clean, uplifting, and unforgettable. And this has some interesting notes. You get bergamot, green apple, grapefruit, marine, neroli, lavender, water lily, orange blossom, iris, white musk, white amber, amberwood, cedar, and ambroxan. And really, this is interesting because, to me, I mean, just as the name would suggest, it's quite fresh, but this is quite aromatic and green, and it's got just such a soft touch to it. I'm sure the lavender, the water lily, and some of that white musk and white amber are playing a factor in that, but this really almost smells like I'm going outside, I'm out in the woods, and I kind of come up on a pond. It's this aquatic, fresh, but also green, kind of earthy almost fragrance to an extent. Very interesting, very unique scent profile for sure. I'm getting one of these notes like really above the rest. I don't know if it's the neroli, I don't know if it's the green apple, or any of the musk or the woods. I'm not sure, but this is a very unique, green, aromatic fragrance that, as the name would suggest, you'd wear it any 4 seasons. It's just that versatile, but pretty solid. Like, I really can't complain. It's not my number one kind of scent profile choice if I'm going for a fresh fragrance, but it's something unique. It's something different. It offers that green, aromatic, almost kind of an earthy edge, and so very solid release there with Fresh Affair. Coming up next here, we have Lemonhead's Outlaw, which this is inspired by those Lemonhead candies that all of us, I'm sure, at some point in time have had as a kid. There's a very nostalgic fragrance upon smelling it. I mean, as you'd suggest, you get lemon candy, lime, grapefruit zest, grapefruit sugar, cotton candy, vanilla, white musk, and sandalwood. So a lot of sweet, fruity, juicy notes going on here. But really, they nailed that lemon candy smell. But it doesn't go too far into like being a kid's candy kind of smell. This is something that, although it's inspired by a candy, this is something that still keeps a bit of matureness and sophistication about it, to where, you know, I think anybody, any adult or anything could wear this fragrance. It's not just solely for a younger person like a teenager. So honestly, you read that notes at first and you're probably thinking it's going to be a crazy sweet and bright mess, but really that lemon is so prominent, and you get a little bit of sugar around the edges, has that sugary vibe, almost similar to a Louis Vuitton's Afternoon Swim. That's kind of where you put sugar on top of an orange, and this way you're almost putting sugar on top of a lemon. So you can kind of make those comparisons there, but this smells like a Lemonhead. I don't have any on me to compare side by side, but I mean, pretty interesting fragrance. Once again, an original from Scentual Obsessions. And I have to give it to them. It's unique. It's inspiration. The story behind the fragrance is unique. And I don't see any other fragrances coming out that smell like candy nowadays. And so I'll give them their flowers for that one. Up next, we have Urban Outlaw, which is inspired by Clive and Christian's Town and Country, which I've never smelled the fragrance before. The only Clive Christian fragrance I've had is Blonde Amber, or smelled it, and so never smelled Town and Country. This has lemon, juniper, bergamot, clary sage, cardamom, white tea, sandalwood, gray amber, cedarwood, cashmere, and patchouli. And really, this is a lot darker of a fragrance than what I would have expected. lemon, juniper, and bergamot, and even white tea, like right there at the very beginning. I would have thought this would be super bright and juicy. But really, it's the clary sage, the cardamom, the sandalwood, and the amber and cashmere that make this fragrance. It's almost like a smoky, incensey, woody, ambery scent. Definitely kind of dark. I could see this being a cool weather fragrance. Kind of strikes me as a evening time scent. You're going out, maybe throwing a leather jacket. It's kind of got that little bit of a dirty, mature, masculine edge to it. But I think it is pretty solid. It's really well blended together. The amber, some of the woods are really starting to poke out as this fragrance is transitioning to the dry down. And this is interesting. I've never smelled the original before, and I've never smelled this one up until this point. And so I guess I'm going to maybe have to check this one out in the full bottle. But if you've smelled this fragrance before, or you like Clive Christian's offerings, this would be a good cooler weather scent, especially now as it's getting cold outside. So pretty solid there with Town and Country and Urban Outlaw. 2 fragrances left and 2 originals. We got first off Fruity Behavior, which is an original here. It's a rush of pure, juicy energy. It's imagine popping champagne over a mountain of fresh cut fruits while the summer breeze blazes overhead, and this scent dares you to stand out. This is extremely fruity, extremely bright and juicy, as it says. Citrus, watermelon, strawberry, mango, champagne, white musk, and vanilla. I mean, this smells like a fruit cocktail or a kind of a fruit drink you'd have during the summertime. And really out of this, I'm getting a ton of watermelon, almost similar to Creed's Milestine Imperial, if you know what that watermelon smells like. But getting a lot of watermelon, the strawberry, and the champagne. Those are kind of the 3 notes I'm getting out of that entire note breakdown. This would definitely be something I'd wear on a summertime day, or maybe if I'm going out to a special event or dinner during the summertime. Man, this is a citrus bomb. You want to talk about something that is bright and juicy and a zesty kind of citrus, that's exactly what this fragrance is. Fruity Behavior, I mean, they got it. I'll give it to them. They got it spot on with the name and their note breakdown and the description of the fragrance. I mean, they're not swinging and missing, at least with these originals. And so what they tell you it's going to be, it's going to be. So kudos to Kevin and their team for that. Pretty unique. Honestly, this is a lot of citrus notes put together, but it works pretty well. And I think if you're a big fan of bright, uplifting citrus fragrances, this is one you definitely have to check out. And finally, to close out this video, and it's so fitting that we're closing out this month here soon, the summer of 2025. This is a vibrant fusion of sparkling citrus, cool ocean breeze, and smooth water and woods. Fresh, bold, unforgettable. And this scent will bring you back to the memories of summer of 2025, no matter where you are. I have my own experiences and memories from this summer, and so let's see if these live up to it. Real quick, you got bergamot, lemon, green apple, mint, ocean, marine, ambergris, isoe super, sandalwood, benzoin, and broxton, and white musk. And so, sounds like a citrusy, aquatic, woody kind of fragrance. And that is exactly what that is. Believe it or not, I'm getting a bunch of green apple and mint in the opening, which is a pretty unique combination. You see the two often in different fragrances, but I'm getting a lot of that green apple and mint together. It's kind of got that watery, oceanic kind of a feel to it, similar to like an Aqua de Jo. Any of their fragrances, if you're familiar with those, which I'm sure you are. And then really that white musk and sandalwood is creating not too heavy of a woody base. It's soft. It's just kind of there around the edges as it's starting to dry down. But that green apple and mint, I mean, that is right there at the very top. This is, once again, as the name would suggest and what it's trying to do, this is a very versatile fragrance, daytime or nighttime. And I'd be curious to see if this fragrance, smelling a couple months from now or even next summer, I'm curious to see if this fragrance will bring back nostalgia or just how reminiscent it'll make me be over this past summer of 2025. So that one's really solid as well. And overall, I really can't complain about these 6 samples and the bottle, 30 ml bottle we got, the Convict Elixir. So I can give all these fragrances credit. They all are very accurate to their notes and their description and their name. They're pretty strong, at least just smelling them off the tester strips. So I'll give them credit where credit is due there. And yeah, honestly, just a lot of accuracy. I think these 6 samples and the bottle that was sent in. I think it could really reach a variety of people depending on what your fragrance preferences are and what you're looking for. But with these new and improved formula, with everything kind of being punched a step up, it's gone to a different weight class. It's starting to project louder and last longer. I think these are definitely some fragrances you're going to have to check out. And once again, just in closing, if you'd like to, that's Wester 10 for 10% off at checkout. But be sure to check out their website. Kevin, they're coming out with new stuff all the time on their website, originals and clone fragrances alike. So be sure to check them out. But that's kind of all for me. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're still going to 2.5K, so subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video. Y'all stay safe, and God bless.